Hello, everyone. It's Corinna here. Hope you're doing well. It's been a while since we've connected. I can't even remember. It could be close to a year. Obviously, as I've mentioned in other videos, I've had to take a bit of a sabbatical to really be present for the family and some current health things that were going on for a member of the family. And we've been navigating through those slowly but surely, and hopefully getting through the other side of it. So I've gotten so many messages from all of you just sending prayers and sending healing energy. And I just cannot thank you enough for your kindness. Of course, I don't know why I should be surprised, because the people that follow me, are just beautiful light workers and earth angels that are here to do exactly that, spread kindness in the world. And that's certainly what you've done for me. So I'm back. I'm not sure how often I'll be back, but I'm back primarily with an energy update for April, because for the last week or so I keep getting the same message, and when that happens, I know that I have to come forward and really be a channel for that information and that guidance. And those messages and confirmations were coming in different forms. So, for example, I'll show you some of the cards that I was pulling. Every time I was pulling cards, I would pull literally the same cards every time, and I'll walk through those in a minute. And then a couple nights ago, I had a dream that was just continuous, and it was my guides and angels speaking to me about passing along this message, and I kept hearing the same message again and again and again and again. And then I'd go into a dream, and then the dream would be interrupted, and the messaging would come through in the middle of the dream, and then I'd go again. So it was an all-night affair. And when I woke up from that a couple times throughout the night, went back to sleep, same message, I knew that I was getting guidance to be on to share this information with you. And so I'm happy to be here for you. I just also wanted to thank all of you for all the patience that you've had in me being away. And I've had lots of wonderful emails with everyone checking in, and I've done my best to try to do as many sessions as I can and keep up with some of the mini readings when I could. But priorities had to shift, and I know you all know how important that is, and how important, obviously, family is to everyone, and needing to shift priorities sometimes. It's been an interesting journey, and interesting that I was going through this, and my family members were going through this all throughout 2020 as well. So it was really like going back, almost cocooning in some way on many different levels, for healing and rejuvenation. And there was a lot of healing being done, not only physical healing for the person in my family that was dealing with a physical ailment, but definitely emotional and spiritual healing. And the word they're giving me is advancement. So that's interesting. That's an interesting word that they're using, but that's what they're giving me. So, which I wasn't really expecting, but there it was. And I'm not the only person I know that's been going through upgrades and going through, again, they want to use the word advancement. So I'm just going to go with that word, because I haven't really heard that word before. Advancing energetically into something completely new, which meant unraveling the old. And I think prior in 2019 was really prepping us for that work, and was certainly the work that many of us have been doing for many years. It was interesting in the last year that there was a different type of unraveling I found that was going on. This is real core work for a lot of people, and was manifesting in many different ways. Anxiety, mental health struggles, physical ailments, just lots of stuff coming up. That at one point, I usually do the bulk of my healing in the evening. I think my guides and angels know that's what I know is quiet. And they were bringing me the situations, past traumas that I was having to take a look at, unpeeling once again. And not in a not in a way that was hanging out in the storyline of it for very long, just the awareness that it was currently still in my vibration. And the awareness that it was in my vibration sometimes was enough to just release it. So they'd come to me in the evening, and I had a few nights of real critical healing where it'd be an hour or two of going into my energy field, them showing me something I was energetically still holding on to, and then pulling it out and releasing it and transmuting it with love and compassion for all, of course. And that's not something I expected. And through that process, I asked them why, why, because I've gone through this in many different stages of my own evolution, spiritual evolution. And they said, because you can't carry on to the next phase having these types of energies in your vibration anymore. And I thought, that's interesting. And in many ways, we've all been doing that, right? In different ways. But it's a calling to be aware of what's still an energy vibration that's holding you in a pattern that's not allowing you to move into the higher frequency that's available to us now. And as we're moving towards that, and sometimes as a catalyst because we're in it, it brings up stuff, right? So we're close and we're moving into that energy, and anything that's not in vibrational alignment to that has to come up and out. And so that manifests in a myriad of different ways. Like I said, physical, mental, spiritual, emotional. So, it transmutes in a number of different ways. And if you're conscious through that transmutation, that's when you can see it being released, transmuting into a different form. And if you're not conscious of it, which I think is what's happening for some of humanity right now, this is where we're starting to see the struggles, the extreme polarities, because the current vibration we were in is meeting the new vibration that's available to us. And so it's like a catalyst for they're just showing me like putting dynamite in the middle of a rock that's so solid, and it's like now it's got to go, it's got to blow apart, it's got to move that energy and stop being so stagnant in its solid form is what it's saying. Some of the energy that we've been holding on to in earth has been very dense energy, almost like they're showing me like a boulder that's stuck. And when it's meeting up against this new vibration, it's like a pounding of the boulder is what they're showing me. And at some point it crushes the rock, and it has to explode and move that dense particles of energy into smaller little they're showing me a fine mist of dust that eventually settles back down to earth and is integrated with the vibration. So it's an interesting visualization that they're giving me there. But I think, that's why we're seeing the intensity that we have been seeing in the last year or so. The interesting thing is the message that I've been getting in the last couple weeks is as we approached April, I could feel a lightening of energy. And it was interesting because many months ago, I could feel energy. April was going to be bringing a different type of energy form to us, a lighter energy. I almost feel a quicker energy where we've kind of been in this cocooning energy, slowed down energy. I almost feel like the last year for me, I've almost felt like, where did that year even go? It felt like survival energy to me. And I've been saying to a few of my close friends, I'm really good at survival because of certain scenarios I've been in my life as a young child, as growing up as an adolescent. Survival was something I was good at, but I don't like being there anymore. It's not comfortable energy for me to be in. But I was aware I was surrounded in situations that was bringing out that energy of surviving. And I think that, you can reflect that back to what was happening in humanity. is what we started to see was this natural survival instinct that rises in humanity, and we've been here a long time. And what I kept also saying is that I was in awe of of human beings' ability to adapt. What I kept seeing through 2020 was, and that doesn't mean that we hadn't had our struggles through this process, because we have, the sheer magnitude and willingness for people to adapt to a challenging scenario, and how quickly people were adapting to the energy and the situation around them. It was fascinating to watch. And some people might be biased and say, well, some of that's programming and brainwashing, and I'm not even going to go there. I won't, because I want to focus on the positive. What I saw was the sheer human will to survive, to adapt, and to thrive eventually again. And I think as we come into the energy of April, that's tying into the message that, you know, the divine has been giving me, is that what are we focusing in on? There's a new energy here. There's a new energy that's opened up to us. That's the only way I can describe it. And what are we going to do with it? What are we going to do with it? So I'll show you some of the cards that I repeatedly kept getting for the last 2 weeks. I mean, when repeatedly, no other cards were showing up. And I was using the same deck, fair enough. But every time I went to this deck, what's the name of this deck again? I'll put it in the description below. I getting the same cards over and over and over again. So the top 3 cards I kept getting were these. Okay, so Visions of Life Beyond Death. I would first get this card. How beautiful is this card? Visions of Life Beyond Death. And then I got this card. Bring it into form. Bring it into form. And then I got this card. Defend to the end what is worthwhile. Defend to the end what is worthwhile. And the first time I got the cards, I was like, okay, I can see the messaging in it. And then the second time when I got the cards, and then the third time I got the cards, I said, okay, so I need to sit with this a little bit. What they're saying to me is April is so important, because the message here is that I know people are talking about a third wave, and other places are going into major lockdown here in Canada, in Ontario and places like that. They're going into major lockdown again. All that aside, I'm not saying we ignore it, but I'm saying there's something else going on here in conjunction with what we're seeing in our physical reality. Is there's a requirement and a reminder from Source about what we are focusing on moment to moment, and that creates the vision and the path forward. It was almost like I kept getting this wording, and I hope I get it correct. It's like, live as if you've already died. I don't know where I heard that statement, but I kept hearing it again and again and again in my sleep. Live as if you've already died. Live as if you've already in heaven. What does heaven look like to you here now? What is it that you want to see as we're co-creating with this new energy frequency that's here? And I don't know if you feel it yet. I mean, I certainly feel it. Sometimes I'm kind of a week or two ahead of the game, but something has shifted a little bit. And their remindance is, and I found this very interesting, is defend to the end what is worthwhile. And it was interesting because both these cards had the owl in it, right? And I kept feeling the energy of, what are you focusing on? What is worthwhile? What is worth letting go? Do you want to focus on those things that have brought tears to your eyes in the last year or so? Or do you have a higher vision? Do you have a higher vision for what life could possibly be for you? Because what they're asking us to do is, that's the only way we can bring it into form. It's the only way we can bring it into form, is we have to have a vision. We have to see it within our mind's eye. And the interesting thing is that I kept trying to tune in the last year about what I need to do and what I don't need to do. And I got nothing. I didn't know where I was supposed to go. I didn't know what my next step was. And I think part of that was just the whole scenario that was going down. You never knew what was going to change one to the other. So how could you plan? But coming from someone who loved to plan, who would have, I'm going to teach these courses in April. I'm going to teach this, and I'm going to do this energy update this day and this energy update this day. It was like I cocooned back in, had this sense of healing and restoration, replenishing, which is the other card that I got today, by the way, when I asked for more guidance about what to say in this video. And I had no vision whatsoever. And when I'm talking about vision, and when they're talking about vision, they're not talking about a plan. It's not what they're talking about here. What they're talking about is sensing and tuning into the energy and the frequency of the possibility of what's out there in the universe for you, because anything is possible. And they said that again. Let me reiterate, anything is possible. Anything is possible. So what is the highest vision? What is the highest vision you have for your life? What is the highest vision you have for your family? And work from that place. Allow life to show up for you to help you meet that vision, because it will. It'll bring you the right people, the right circumstances, the right support system. And it's about feeling into it rather than planning. It's about having a higher vision for your life beyond the limitations of the structures that have been implemented around you. It's about settling back down into your own energy field, allowing life to show up for you now in the most miraculous of ways, and having a higher vision of kind of the end game. So, and knowing that the end game is possibly always morphing and changing. I always say, we're in a constant form of evolution, right? But there's something here about listening to what our internal vision is, listening to what we're internally being guided to right now, not planning, listening, right? So for example, I had these cards that kept coming up. 2 nights ago, I had this dream. I kept getting this sentence again and again and again in my mind. Live as if you've already died. Live as if you've already died. And it kept coming to me again and again and again. And I just tuned into, okay, what do I do with that? Right? I had no plan to come in here and do an April energy update. And I used to do them consistently. Every month I would be here. April, March, April, May, June, because that was in my plan. But there's something different unfolding for us right now. And they're showing me like going with the ebb and the flow of the universal energy and of the divine energy that has this natural ebb and flow. And some days you might not want to do anything. And some days you might want to do 10 things. But it's all coming from a place of what is resonating with me today, and going inside and listening about what that higher vision is for your life. So the other cards that I got again was Heaven Sent. So all third eye work here, right? All about what is that internal divine vision that is showing up for you? What is it internally when you tune into your own internal God's essence, is what they're saying? What is it that is unfolding for you moment by moment? And what is the ultimate vision for your life? And by ultimate vision, they just mean the ultimate vision now. It's not forever, because you're in a constant state of evolution. So they're saying to me, don't get tied to anything. Don't get tied to anything. Even if you've made a commitment, stay flexible in the commitment. It might shift, and be okay with that. Which I know for some of us, for me in particular, so this has been a great learning lesson for me, for someone who felt that I needed to control, I needed to plan to be safe. Over time, I have evolved into knowing that I am safe because I am the divine. I am a piece of the divine, and the divine always has my back. So it's not in the overstructuring of my life. It's not in the over planning of my life. It's in the magnitude of the level of surrender and trust that gets me in that flow, in that divine flow, that once you're in there, it's a place of serenity that is even hard to describe in words. And don't get me wrong, I'm still human. I'm not there every day. I'm not. I'm the first one to admit I'm not. But as the more and more you live in that divine flow, it's almost like I'm committing to something, but I'm not, because I know that in any moment, the universe could take me in a different direction for my highest evolution and for the highest evolution and possibility for all those around me as well. Does that make sense? And so the next card I got was Pandora's Gift. And again, it's all about vision, isn't it? What am I focusing on? What am I expanding into? What am I expanding in my life? What am I opening up to? What is my inner vision? What is my inner guidance? What is my divine essence guiding me towards? So as we come out of this energy, right? As we've come out of this energy, which is where a lot of us have been in one form or another, healing, restoration, replenishing our souls, because many times this year, I just kept saying, I'm so exhausted. I'm so tired. I was physically, mentally, emotionally exhausted. And, when you're coming from that place, you need time to back away. You need time to replenish, to heal, to be in service to those around you that are doing the same thing, but in finding the balance between what you can give and what you can't give. And really turning inward, which is really, what I've been experiencing. I think many of us have been experiencing, is this turning inward process of, what makes sense for me, what makes sense in my next steps as the doorways start opening. They just said, because the doorways are open. They said the doorways have always been open. They want to remind us of that. The doorways have always been open, but there's, more than that. There's this kind of, you'll start to see the energy of, they're calling it ground zero, I call it Earth. There's, for some reason, they're saying ground zero, where, you'll start to see the energy of these doorways opening, which is interesting because in 2019, they talked a lot about doorways opening, gateways opening. And it's almost like the earth is slowly starting to, or the people on the earth, the vibration of the earth is slowly catching up to what those doorways and the vibration that has been starting to come in. It's like we're matching up to it slowly but surely. So it's been a year or two, again, of evolutionary alignment is what they're calling it. So I don't want to stay too long, but I wanted to pass along that message, is that, and they're asking me to pull one more card from this deck, from the Energy Oracle card deck. What's your vision? What's the vision coming to you? Not pushing an agenda, not controlling a situation, not over planning. But as the visions come for your life, for your next steps, allow them to come in And then what are you placing your focus on? What is worthwhile holding on to? What is worthwhile defending in the sense of focusing your energy in on? There's been a lot of distraction energy placed into the field, is what they just told me. And it's almost like we don't know which way to turn. We feel fragmented. Even when I go into social media now, I almost feel like I can't focus long enough. And that could be just because I'm not in alignment with much of it. But I feel this, I don't want to say intentional, because that's, I don't want to get into that piece, but there's been a fragmentation energy that has come into the field for some reason, and fragmenting the way that we can process and the way that we can focus. So they're really asking you to come back to your center, especially this month with the new wave of energy that's coming in April. Sorry, I don't know a lot about astrology, but they're just talking about some type of moon cycle that we either just went through or we're going through. And that, we must have just went through it because they said the word last. That last moon cycle was important in the new frequency and energy that's brought in. Again, they're showing you your third eye and having a higher vision. What are you focusing on? What are you placing your attention towards? And there was a reason why we had to go within. There was a reason why we had to cocoon. There was a reason why we had to do a recheck and a reanalysis. And as we're starting to come out of that, what is the new vision for our life? What is the highest vision for our life? Not in attaching to anything, not into attaching to an agenda, not into attaching to a storyline, just free-flowing visionary is what they just said to me, being a free-flowing visionary, but hyper-focused in the sense of, I will not focus on that world and that agenda and that negativity, but I will focus on this. Because when I focus on the evolution, when I focus on the beauty around me, when I focus on the majesty of living on this earth plane, when I focus on the beauty of the smell, my turkey's cooking downstairs tonight, I can smell it right, I could smell it as my Easter dinner in the oven. Like, they just said to me, where on earth in the universe do you have this experience? Do you know how glorious it is to be human? Do you know how glorious it is to have all those senses? Be in the present moment with it. So I'm just going to pull one more card. So it might be two because I just said the word two. I don't think this was in the right card deck. That's okay. I'll figure out which cards this are. So just heard two more cards. Look at that. Is this not just what I said, what they just said? Be conscious of that which brings you joy. Be conscious of the beautiful things here on earth. We've been a little stuck in the fear agenda. We've been a little stuck in the worst case scenario, is what they just said to me. And they just said to me, sometimes my guys are funny. They just said poppycock. I don't know why they're saying that. Poppycock. They said poppycock. Like, what a bunch of BS. This is your birthright. Happy, success, joyful. Be conscious that this is the energy that's available to you. What are you focusing on? What are you focusing on? And more than anything, the travel word's not. More than anything with this card, as they said, don't let this closed door energy, the events of the past, define your future. You could utilize it and utilize the current things that are going on for more of this, which is required. Sometimes we need to shut down, replenish, take care of ourselves, heal. But don't let the events that have been happening around us close the doors to you moving in a new direction. They just said to me, don't let that happen. Focus on this energy. Focus on this. Where are you placing your focus right now? Are you focusing on the doors that have closed? Are you focusing on this? Even if it's one or two things that have brought you the greatest level of happiness this weekend, focus on that. They just said, focus on, because this is my thing that they always do with me. They always point out if I'm in a funk, the birds are singing. Corinna, the birds are singing. I'm like, yeah, they are. And they always bring me joy. When you're in that vibration of gratitude, appreciation, they just said fearlessness, because we're not attached to the agendas, that we're moving to a higher vision for it all. We're moving beyond the lack mentality, beyond the fear mentality. We're seeing the higher purpose of it all. We're seeing just everything. And they said, talk about your experience. So even everything that I've been through in this last year, there's not one thing, even though some of it's been very, very, very difficult to navigate through, heart-wrenching, to be honest with you, absolutely heart-wrenching. I see the highest vision for why it's happening. I see why it had to be that way, and the magnificence that's going to be the result of it all. I'm already starting to see it. So come from that place. Come from the highest possible vision for all and for yourself. And bring, what does it say? Bring it into form. You bring it into form by what you're focusing on. Where you place your intention expands your reality to reflect that back to you. So they just said to me, please be kind with yourselves. Please be kind with yourselves through this process. It's been heavy. It's been a heavy process for many of us. I feel very much a message from them that we're coming out the other side of it. So again, a message of hope for you all. But most importantly, they just said again, please don't focus on the doors that have seemingly closed. It's interesting they're using that word, seemingly closed. That's interesting. Don't focus on these doorways. Focus on this energy today, please. And for the rest of this weekend, I said for the rest of your lifetime. They just said to me, you have the power. It's in your own hands. It's in your own hands for how this all plays out. They just said, how do you want it all to play out? They just said the choice is yours. Keep your vision tight in the sense of, what am I allowing to come into my field? What am I focusing on? And ebb and flow. After harnessing the higher vibration, they said, harness the higher vibration into your field. Focus on the highest vibration, the highest intention for all. And then they said, and then just enjoy the ride. Just get on the ride and see where it's going to take you. And trust that you're going to show up when you have enough energy. Honor yourself through that process. Listen to what your next steps are. There's been a wave of energy coming through now that for some of us where we haven't been certain about our next steps, I feel like that will all start to clear up. But they said, don't do it from a place of attachment, please. I know they're repeating themselves here. Before they go, they want to say, don't do it from a place of attachment, that this must happen on this timeline in this way. They said that world is gone. It can no longer service you from the highest vibration that you're starting to come into. It's more about when you get to a certain level energetically, it's all about listening to the ebb and flow of the universe around you. Some days I'm going to take more, some days I can take more appointments than others, because that's where energetically I feel to be in service. And some days intuitively, I know that my energy has to go other ways. In the past, we would have said, I need to make these commitments, A, B, C, D, E. I'm going to show up for A, B, C, D, and E in order to get here. But what they're telling me is it doesn't work that way anymore. They just said, in fact, it never worked that way. They just said, in fact, it never worked that way. But even more so, you have the power in your hands now to focus in on the highest vision for all. See the highest vision no matter what is physically not happening around you. And go into that place of ebb and flow now. Just listening to next steps. Just being fluid with possibly that date's going to be and possibly it's not. And if we're all in alignment, we're all going to show up on that date. Different than what we've been used to. But it's a level of freedom that we've never had before to play with in this they're calling genre. I'm not sure what that means. They just said, just play and have some fun with it. Just try it. They said, just try it. Just play and have some fun with it and see how it goes. Yeah, they just said the world is a play. Make sure you're playing. All right. Much love to you. Happy Easter to all of you. I send you so much love. I'm so happy I was able to get this message out to you and that I was guided to show up here for you today and be of service to you all. I think of all of you often, all my clients, all those people that there's been a space in us connecting. Know that I always send you love and I feel your energy. And I'm just hearing like there's a lot of pride about how far many of us have come in the last year. So, all right, beloveds, enjoy your time with your family and friends. And if you are navigating through this on your own, know that you're never alone and that you're always loved. The divine is with us at all times. Take care of you. Talk to you soon. We'll see you when. Bye.